My family told me I'd ruin everything just by showing up, so they cut me out completely. I stayed silent until the day I made sure their perfect plans never happened. My mom leaned in close after dinner, lowered her voice, and said, "Next week is for family. You being there would ruin it." My dad didn't even flinch before adding, "You've changed too much. You don't belong with us anymore." I remember lifting my glass, tapping my fork against it like I was making a toast, and whispering under my breath, "Duly noted." But I wasn't about to let it slide. That night, after tucking Ava and Luke into bed, I sat down at my laptop and started dismantling their so-called dream vacation. Every charge, gone. Every fancy booking, reversed. Rail passes locked, airport transfers cancelled. By the time the sun came up, their luxury tour through Italy didn't even exist anymore. And let me tell you, this wasn't just any trip. They'd planned Venice, Florence, Rome, the whole 9 yards. 5-star hotels, first-class train tickets, private vineyard tour in Tuscany, dinners at restaurants so exclusive you practically need a secret handshake just to get on the list. All of it mapped out down to the last detail. Except for one thing. Me. Not my name. Not my kids' names. Not a single thought that I, or Ava and Luke, were supposed to be part of it. Just mom, dad, my sister Melanie, her husband Josh, and their perfect little family of 4. That was their definition of family. And the worst part? They used my money to make it happen. I only found out because Melanie slipped up and forwarded me the itinerary by mistake. Seeing it spelled out in black and white, it felt like someone punched me straight in the chest. I scrolled through every line of that email, waiting for my name to appear at least once. But it never did. 6 months earlier, Mom had pitched this whole family trip idea over Sunday dinner. She said she always dreamed of showing the grandkids Europe, and, of course, she reminded me that Melanie and Josh were struggling financially. She asked if I could help float the upfront costs, promised she'd settle it later. And like a fool, I said yes. No hesitation. I had just landed a big consulting contract, and I thought, maybe this was my chance to do something special. Something that would bring us closer together. So I paid for everything. Flights, hotels, train passes, transfers. Every last cent. And then they cut me out like I was nothing. I didn't call them. I didn't explode over the phone. I waited for Sunday dinner. I sat there at the table while Mom served baked ziti, Dad rambled about golf, and Melanie smiled like she hadn't just driven a knife through my back. When I casually mentioned, "Italy must be beautiful this time of year," the room went silent. That's when Mom hit me with that line about my presence ruining it. Dad nodded along, saying I'd become too different. Not one of them disagreed. So yeah, I clinked my fork to my glass and said, "Duly noted." That night, while Ava and Luke slept peacefully upstairs, I started my little operation. Since everything was still booked in my name, I had all the power. They didn't even bother switching the billing details. Their arrogance was unbelievable. So I sat at my desk and burned their entire fantasy to the ground. By 7:42 the next morning, the first text came in. From Josh, "Unblock the account now." I shot back, "Sorry, I'm too different now." After that, my phone lit up with calls from Mom, emails from Dad, guilt trip screenshots from Melanie, her daughter crying, begging me not to be cruel. But I ignored every single one. They wanted this trip to be about their real family? Fine. They could figure it out on their own dime. Meanwhile, I sat back and waited. At JFK, they strutted through the terminal like royalty. First-class tickets in hand, matching luggage, smug little smiles. Josh even wore loafers without socks, thinking he looked European already. Melanie posted an Instagram story, champagne glasses clinking, captioned, "Ciao, Bella." I wasn't even mad at that point. I was just waiting for the fireworks. Because what they didn't know was, I hadn't just cancelled the basics. I personally called every hotel to make sure no room would be held. I killed the car service in Rome, scrapped the vineyard tour in Chianti, flagged their rail passes as stolen. I even changed the login credentials to the travel portal. It was like their trip had never existed. And then, it happened. Their flight was scheduled to board at 6:40 p.m. At 6:12, my phone buzzed. "Josh, why are we being denied boarding?" Then Melanie, "Did you cancel the flights?" Then the avalanche of calls. I didn't answer a single one. I could only imagine the scene, 4 adults, 2 kids, standing at the gate with wide eyes, trying to process how their perfect vacation had just evaporated. Melanie probably shouting, Josh trying to play it cool, Dad puffing his chest like he still had authority, Mom simmering in fury. And the gate agent just calmly telling them, "Sorry, sir, there's nothing we can do." Meanwhile, I was in my kitchen with Ava and Luke, rolling out pizza dough and sprinkling cheese. They didn't know a thing. As far as they're concerned, Grandma and Grandpa had to cancel their trip because of unforeseen circumstances. By 9 p.m., the texts had shifted in tone. Josh called me psychotic. Melanie warned me that the kids will never forgive what I'd done. I still didn't answer. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Then Dad sent one last gem, "You've embarrassed us. You've gone too far." I couldn't resist. I typed back, hope it was still special. The next morning, their car was back in the driveway. Less than 24 hours after takeoff, they were home. Exhausted. Defeated. Broken. And that's when I smiled, because I knew the game wasn't over. Oh no, that was just the beginning. At exactly 3:47 p.m., my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my mom standing there. No makeup, hair pulled back into a messy knot, her expression caught somewhere between neutral and annoyed. Not a hint of an apology. Not even close. Instead, she sighed and said, "All right. You've made your point." I didn't say a word. I just stood there, letting her fill the silence. And oh, she did. She went on about how my little stunt at the airport had damaged the family, how I needed to learn to be more understanding, how it wasn't fair to ruin something they had been planning for so long, just because I felt excluded. Then, without missing a beat, she pivoted. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about the backyard. The contractor's still scheduled for next month, and we don't want to lose the date. Your dad thought maybe you could help cover the deposit. I stared at her. She really believed I'd cave. That deep down, I still wanted to be part of their circle. That money was something I'd always hand over, because that's what I'd always done. I nodded slowly and said, let me check my accounts. I'll let you know by the end of the week. Her face lit up. She smiled like she'd just won some kind of prize. Then she left, satisfied. And that was perfect, because now it was my turn to play. The silence was intentional. I could feel it, like they were giving me just enough space to come crawling back. Not because they respected me, but because they assumed I'd run out of steam. That I'd sulk, regret what I did, and eventually show up with a check and an apology. But what they didn't realize was that something had snapped in me. This wasn't just about Italy anymore. This was about a lifetime of being used. By Thursday, the first feeler came in. Melanie texted me like she was pinging a coworker. Hey, Mom said you might help with the backyard thing. Just let us know so we can confirm with the contractor. No warmth. No question mark. Just that cold, family business tone they always used when they wanted something. I left it unread for hours. Then finally typed back, still sorting some stuff out. I'll let you know soon. That soon stretched into tomorrow. Then the next day. By Friday morning, Mom sent a longer message. Contractor needs the deposit today to hold the schedule. We're trying not to lose the fall window. Can you confirm? I wrote back, might be able to send half. Need to check with my bank. I didn't check a damn thing. Saturday, silence from me. Sunday, still nothing. Monday, Dad called. I let it buzz until it died out. Then his text came through, we're not trying to pressure you. We just need to know what's happening so we can plan. I shot back, totally get it. Should have an answer soon. And then I let that soon stretch, too. By Wednesday, Melanie upped the ante with a voice memo. I didn't even listen. Just stared at the little waveform pulsing on my phone. Probably her pretending to sound patient, pretending she understood, pretending everything was normal. Later that night, I replied, talk to the bank today. Small issue with a flagged transaction. Think I can send it by Friday. That was the hook. The bait. The one that would keep them waiting just a little longer, circling another date on their calendar with hope. Friday came and went. No deposit. No money. No explanation. By Saturday morning, Dad texted, we told the contractor we'll handle it ourselves. Don't worry about it. Then Mom followed up separately, if you still want to pitch in later, every bit helps. I could practically taste the frustration under those words. Not because of the money. But because I wasn't doing what I'd always done, rescuing them. Smoothing everything over. Making the discomfort disappear. That night, Melanie sent me a photo of their backyard. Patchy grass, a few white flags stuck in the ground marking where a patio might have gone. She captioned it, still hoping to make something happen before the weather turns. I didn't reply. I just stared at it. Because for once, the space between us wasn't awkward, it was intentional. I wasn't rushing to fix things. I wasn't cushioning their fall. For the first time in my life, I was letting them feel the full weight of what it meant when I stopped cleaning up their mess. A week went by. Silence. Not a text, not a call, not even a passive-aggressive group message. Just nothing. On the surface, it might have looked peaceful. But I knew better. They weren't moving on. They were regrouping. Waiting me out. Trying to make me feel like the one who walked away. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from my cousin Erica. Hey, just checking in. Grandma's really upset about the Italy thing. You okay? I froze. Grandma? She hadn't been part of this at all. She lived alone up in Albany. Quiet. Kind. The type who still sends handwritten thank you notes and remembers everyone's birthdays. She'd never been one to meddle. I asked Erica what Grandma had been told. Her reply made my stomach drop. Melanie told her you canceled the trip out of nowhere and made them lose thousands. Grandma's worried you're having some kind of breakdown. And just like that, it hit me. They were already rewriting the story. I wasn't the son who paid for everything and got cut out. I wasn't the father who defended his kids. I was the unstable one, the selfish one, the villain who sabotaged a wholesome family vacation. Of course, they'd twist it that way. They always controlled the narrative. Until now. The moment I saw Grandma's name light up my phone, I answered without hesitation. Her voice came through soft, but heavy with concern. Peter, what happened, honey? I took a deep breath. And for once, I didn't rant. I didn't dramatize. I just told her the truth. Every detail. How months ago, they'd asked me to cover the upfront costs. How they planned an entire dream trip to Italy, Venice, Florence, Rome, without including me or my kids. How I only found out by accident, and how, when I confronted them, they told me my very presence would ruin it. Grandma didn't say a word. She just listened. Every pause, every breath on the other end of the line felt like a lifetime. Finally, she whispered, that's not what they told me. She explained that they'd said I refused to go. That I canceled the cards out of anger. That I ruined everything in some emotional meltdown. I sat there gripping my phone tighter, forcing the words out, that's not even close to the truth. Another pause. Then she said softly, I'm so sorry, Peter. I don't know what's wrong with them. That was all I needed to hear. That one sentence washed over me like a lifeline. For once, someone in the family believed me. The fallout came almost instantly. Barely an hour later, Mom texted, "Did you just tell Grandma some twisted version of events?" Then Melanie, "You're making this worse. She's old, Peter. She doesn't need the stress." Josh even jumped in, "This is toxic, man. You're turning people against their own family." I read each one carefully, feeling nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just done. They had cut me out, lied about it, spun the story to Grandma, and now had the nerve to accuse me of dividing the family. So I wrote one final message. Send it to all 4 of them in the family group chat. Effective immediately, I'm stepping back from helping financially. No more vacations, no more renovations, no more loans or "we'll pay you back" texts. If I'm too different to be part of the family, then I'm too different to fund it. Best of luck with the backyard. I hit send. Set my phone down. And that was that. No replies that night. Not because they were shocked, but because, for the first time, they understood I meant it. A week later, Melanie called out of the blue. Not a text, a full phone call. I let it ring. She left a voicemail that was almost laughable. Her voice sugary sweet, like we were catching up after a vacation. "I've been thinking about what you said, we should all get together soon. The kids miss you." As if those words were supposed to flip a switch inside me. A few days later, Mom sent me a photo. A sad little pile of patio stones dumped in the yard. No workers, no progress, just a mess. She wrote, "We're still going to try to make it work ourselves. Found a good deal locally." It was careful. Subtle. Like she wanted to imply, "Look how hard we're trying without you," while still leaving the door cracked open. I texted back, "Looks promising. Let me know if you need help hauling." And just like that, they took the bait. Within hours, Mom sent a long paragraph. About how every family goes through seasons. How money was never why they wanted me around. How they just got a little lost while planning the trip. She even used the word reset. Then Melanie messaged separately. Said she'd been feeling off ever since the airport fiasco. No pressure, but she wanted to reconnect. Suggested grabbing coffee. Just to talk. And then the cherry on top, Josh. The guy who usually only communicated in single words and passive-aggressive emojis. He wrote, "I think I overreacted. We all did. No hard feelings." It was an impressive pivot. Like watching a marketing team roll out a rebranding campaign. Suddenly I wasn't toxic. I wasn't unstable. I was valuable again. Useful. So, I decided to give them a taste of their own medicine. I agreed to meet Melanie. Picked a date and time. She even sent a heart emoji and promised to buy the coffee. But the morning of, I cancelled. Some vague excuse about a work call running long. She responded politely. "Totally understand. Let's reschedule soon." We never did. Then Mom asked if I could chip in $300 for gravel delivery. I said I'd check and get back to her. I didn't. Dad mentioned firewood costs going up. Asked if I could help. I told him to send me the link, said I'd look into it. He did. I didn't. Every single time, I mirrored the same tone they had used on me for years, empty kindness, polite delays, vague promises with no follow-through. And it worked. One by one, they started to wither. Melanie stopped replying altogether. Mom's texts got shorter, then further apart, until they just stopped. Josh unfollowed me on Instagram. And Dad? He broke tradition. For the first time in a decade, he didn't send his annual happy birthday group text to the whole family. That one stung more than they probably realized. But the funniest part? They couldn't accuse me of anything. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't cursed. I hadn't called them names or burned bridges. I just became them. All promises. No payment. All surface. No substance. And for the first time in their lives, they got to feel what it was like to be on the outside of their own game. And I'll be honest, watching them squirm in the silence? That must have been absolute hell. Thanksgiving has a way of sneaking up on you. 1 minute, you're still clinging to October, and then suddenly it's here. But this year felt different. My phone stayed silent. No group text from Mom. No passive-aggressive RSVP reminder from Melanie. Not even one of Dad's afterthought forwards. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invited. And I didn't ask. I didn't send a casual, "Hey, what's the plan?" text, pretending like I wasn't waiting for one myself. I just let it be. Then, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I saw it unfold on social media. Melanie had gone all out, full Pinterest mode. A long table set for 10. Tiny pumpkins as placeholders. Handwritten name cards. Napkins folded like little fans. She captioned it, "Grateful for the real ones." Every chair was filled. Every plate had a name. Mine wasn't one of them. Neither was Ava's. Neither was Luke's. It wasn't an oversight. It wasn't a scheduling slip. It was deliberate. They made a choice. No Peter. No reminder of what they'd done. No guilt sitting at their table. Just their curated version of family. Neat. Polished. Comfortable. So I didn't tell Ava and Luke anything. Instead, we made our own Thanksgiving. No turkey. No stuffing. They voted for mac and cheese and waffles. So that's exactly what we did. We ate on the couch, watched old movies, and laughed so hard that for a moment, I actually forgot what day it was. A few days later, I ran into Erica in a grocery store parking lot. She gave me this awkward half-smile. "They didn't invite you?" she asked, even though she already knew the answer. "Nope. First year." She nodded. Melanie told Grandma it was simpler this way. Less tension. Less tension. That's how they phrased cutting me and my kids out completely. Like we were background noise they could mute. Like the problem wasn't what they'd done, but how uncomfortable it made them to see me there. Christmas rolled in next. I didn't even bother checking my phone. The only photo I saw was from a neighbor who follows Melanie on Instagram. The whole family was lined up in front of the fireplace, matching pajamas, cocoa mugs in hand. And hanging above them, 5 stockings. I zoomed in, heart pounding. Names stitched across each one. Not a single one for Ava. Not for Luke. Not for me. Not even a placeholder, like we'd never existed. The message couldn't have been clearer. They weren't just excluding us. They were erasing us. And yeah, it hurt. I won't lie. But the pain didn't linger. It froze over into something quieter. Not bitterness. Just distance. A kind of emotional silence I never knew I had in me. By January, I stopped waiting for their names to flash on my phone. I took Ava and Luke to Seattle for New Year's instead. Just us. We walked through Pike Place in the rain, rode the Ferris wheel, bought tacky overpriced souvenirs, and stayed in a hotel with robes so big they laughed themselves silly trying them on. It wasn't traditional. It wasn't planned to perfection. But it was real. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was missing out. I felt free. Funny thing? That year turned out to be my best financially. Landed 3 new clients, finally closed out a nightmare project, had more money sitting in my accounts than I'd ever seen in my life. I could have bought Melanie's whole backyard, twice. Could have paid for that Italy trip again and upgraded every ticket to first class. But instead, I installed a heated driveway at my place. And I started planning a summer road trip with Ava and Luke. No group chat needed. No approval required. They hadn't cut me out because I changed. They cut me out because I stopped playing by their rules. Because I stopped letting them use me and ignore me at the same time. And once the money dried up, once I made it clear that nothing else came with it, not silence, not forgiveness, not even a smile, they didn't know what to do with me. So they erased me. And I stayed erased. For my peace. 2 months slipped by. February. That's when the envelope showed up. Plain. No return address. My name written in Mom's shaky handwriting. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a short letter and a check. 2 paragraphs. The first said they wanted to repair what's left. The second? It said the check was reimbursement for my share of the Italy trip since I didn't attend. The amount? $3,600. I laughed out loud. Not because of the number. But because they still thought this was about money. Like they could refund my pain. Like a check could erase the way they erased us. I didn't cash it. I stuck it to the fridge with a magnet, like a joke. 3 days later, Josh texted, "We need to talk." Ignored. Then Melanie, "Grandma's in the hospital. She asked for you." That one stopped me cold. I called the hospital to confirm. Mild heart issue. Nothing life-threatening. But yes, she had asked for me. Twice. So I drove up. When I walked into her room, Grandma smiled like no time had passed. Like I hadn't been shut out of holidays or family dinners. We talked for an hour, books, weather, little things. And then she said something that cut straight through me. "Don't let them write the end without you." I didn't know what to say. On the drive home, I stopped at a diner. Sat in the car with a coffee, staring at that stupid check in my head. That night, Melanie called again. This time, I picked up. She jumped right in. Said they wanted a reset. A real talk. Not an apology, of course not, but she said the kids were asking why they hadn't seen Ava and Luke. Maybe it was time to fix things. Then she dropped the part one didn't see coming. She said Mom and Dad were talking about selling the house. And with the money, they wanted to create a shared account for family needs. She called it future-focused. And then she said the words, "We were hoping you'd contribute." I didn't respond. I just ended the call. The next morning, I mailed their check back. No note. Just the check. And that was the end. No screaming matches. No fireworks. Just silence. Since then? Nothing. No calls. No texts. No fake brunch invites. It's like they finally realized I wasn't playing their game anymore. The group threads went quiet. Birthdays came and went. I heard through Erica that the house sold. They bought some smaller place outside the city. No one asked me to see it. And you know what? I don't think they hate me. I think I scared them. Because I wasn't bitter. I wasn't dramatic. I didn't try to win. I just walked away. And I never looked back.